Hey guys, before we get into the what if, I just wanted to say thank you so much for 100 subscribers. I know it's a bit late and we're now at like 191, but it just means so much just to know that people care about what I write. And it really means a lot. I really appreciate it, so thank you so much. And I just love all of you so much. I haven't written this down, so this is just what I'm thinking. And everything you say in the comments means so much to me. And in other news, we now have a Discord where you can actually get in contact with me easier than YouTube's comments, because sometimes YouTube comments are awful. So that way you can talk to me, we can share what if ideas, you can see any plans for the future, and it's just very nice, very easy to communicate with. Big thanks for Jay for setting it up. Really appreciate you, man. Now, enough rambling, onto the what if. Chapter 7, The Combat Test. Deku was sat in class quietly. He could tell that people were treating him differently now, as if he could break at any moment. He felt so weak. After all the training he had done to make himself strong, to be weak again so easily made him feel sick. Before Deku could dwell any longer, the door of the room was thrown open. "I am here, walking through the door like a hero," yelled All Might. The class erupted with enthusiasm and excitement. Yes, I know you're all excited, but please calm down. Today, this lesson will be combat training. Now, get into your costumes and meet me at Site Gamma, said All Might. All Might stood before a massive city. In front of them was Class 1A in their hero costumes. Alright, newbies, shall we get started? This will be a 2v2 match. Villains versus heroes. The versus hero team will be Midoriya versus Uraraka, and they will be facing the villain team of Bakugo versus Ida. Villain team, go get set up. You have 5 minutes until the heroes are sent in. Deku was very nervous. He was going to have to fight Bakugo. He may have gotten stronger, but that didn't seem like a hurdle he could overcome yet. No. Deku slapped his own face. He can't think like that. Let's win today, said Deku. The bell sounded and Deku Uraraka jumped into action. Uraraka made herself weightless, and Deku grabbed hold of her and jumped onto the roof of the building. Good job, Deku, said Uraraka. Deku focused, and using his new ability to sense ki, he located Bakugo and Ida. Bakugo is on the first floor, and Ida is in the room below us. Knowing Ida, he's probably guarding the bomb, Deku said to Uraraka. Then, let's get him, said Uraraka with a smile. Deku smiled also, then punched a hole through the floor. Ida, who didn't know they were on the roof, was very startled when the fist came through the ceiling, but quickly collected himself. Aha! Foolish heroes coming straight to their defeat, said Ida in his villain voice. Uraraka laughed at how serious Ida was taking the situation, then jumped in the hole, followed by Deku. Ida quickly activated his radio and called Bakugo. Bakugo, they are here. They're in the bomb room. What? Impossible, said Bakugo over the radio. Deku's eyes widened as he felt Bakugo spin around and run in their direction. Uraraka, let's finish this quickly, said Deku. Right, said Uraraka. Deku created a key ball and threw it at Ida. He dodged it, but was then hit in the chest by a flying kick from Deku. Ida went flying, but Deku didn't let up. He detonated the key blast, which was still behind Ida. The blast was strong and hit Ida in the back, forcing him to the ground. Deku raced over to Ida, but Ida was quicker. He had already gotten into a squatting position and swept Deku's legs from underneath him. Deku hit the floor hard. Ida tried to jump on top of him to restrain him, but Uraraka managed to tap him, making him float into the air. Deku got to his feet and took out the capture tape. Nice save, Uraraka. Deku was cut off when he was hit in the back by a massive explosion. Bakugo had arrived. Deku was thrown across the room and crashed into the wall hard. He stood up groggy. Ow, that hurts, said Deku. Bakugo looked away from Deku and turned to Uraraka. He leapt towards her, intent on blasting her away. His hands were inches from her face when she ducked under his arm and touched his stomach, making him float. Bakugo let off an explosion and it hit Uraraka hard in the shoulder, throwing her to the floor. But it was worse for Bakugo. Because he was weightless, he was launched backwards into the ceiling, hitting his head. He was groggy, but could still fight. He kicked off the ceiling and, using his explosions, launched towards Uraraka like a missile. You won't hurt her, yelled Deku. Deku suddenly came in with another kick to the Bakugo's jaw, launching him across the room. I won't lose to you, Kachan. Not anymore, said Deku. Deku raised his fists in a guard, but was suddenly grabbed from behind. He had forgotten about Ida. Because he was still weightless, he had to use his engines to guide his way behind Deku and grab him. Now, Bakugo, take out Uraraka so her quirk will deactivate, said Ida. Deku struggled, but he didn't manage to escape in time. Bakugo launched across the room and blasted Uraraka, knocking her out. Now it was a 2v1, and both Bakugo and Ida had stopped floating and returned to the floor. Deku backed up. This was bad, but he wasn't beaten yet. Closing his eyes, he flooded his body with ki, strengthening it. Ida and Bakugo leapt to him, ready to end this. One for all. 10%, said Deku. Lightning poured out of Deku's body. I can only keep this up for 30 seconds. I'd better make this quick, said Deku internally. He leapt forward, grabbing Ida's leg mid-air, swinging him and slamming him into Bakugo. He threw a ki blast after him. That takes care of Ida. Now for Kachan, said Deku. Deku leapt through the smoke and punched Bakugo hard in the mouth. Bakugo fell back, but blasted Deku in the side of the face as he did. This threw Deku off him, and did some decent damage. Deku got up, blood streaming down his face, with a busted nose and lip. Both of the boys looked at each other, then jumped back in. In the viewing room, All Might watched the fight along with the rest of the class. I should stop this before they get too injured, but he wouldn't want me to, said All Might, thinking. Back in the fight, Deku threw dozens of little ki blasts, and Bakugo countered with a blast. The attacks met, and there was a massive explosion, which launched the two of them away. They didn't stop. They both launched off the walls, propelling themselves at each other at incredible speed. Bakugo accelerated with his explosions, and Deku fired a ki beam behind him to speed up. The two connected, each getting a solid hit in each other's faces. Deku kept the momentum going and spun around, kicking Bakugo in the side of the head. Bakugo was thrown away, but stood up. I won't lose to a weakling like you, yelled Bakugo. Deku ran forward, but his legs were swept out from underneath him by a sliding kick from Ida. He hadn't been knocked out by the blast, but his suit was entirely destroyed. As Deku fell, he spun around, grabbing Ida's head and slamming it into the ground. Deku was now face down on the floor. He tried to stand up, but was stamped to the ground by Bakugo. Bakugo ready to blast, when suddenly, Stop the fight! The hero team has won, yelled All Might over the intercom. The students froze. What happened? They looked around and saw an exhausted Uraraka slumped up against the bomb. Bakugo was shocked. He lost. Slowly, he stepped off Deku and walked away. Deku stood up. He'd never seen Bakugo like this. After a few seconds, a group of robots drove into the room, holding stretchers. Uraraka and Ida climbed onto them and were driven away. Another robot turned to Deku and asked him to come with him to Recovery Girl's office for healing. The office was pretty far away, so Deku had plenty of time to think about how the fight went. I think I need to improve my close range damage. If I can't use more power, then I have to better use what I have and be more efficient. I also need to improve how long I can use 10%. Deku walked into the nursing office and sat down in a chair. There was a bed in the room, but it was covered by a screen right now. Smooch! Mwah! The sound of a kiss from the other side of the screen caught Deku's attention. There you go. All better, said Recovery Girl. Recovery Girl opened the screen, and out walked Bakugo. He didn't look happy, and his mood only got worse when he saw Deku. You won't win again, said Bakugo. He then walked out. Come on, young man, let's get you all fixed up, Recovery Girl said to Deku. Meanwhile, back with All Might in the class, everyone was shocked by the impressive display they had seen. The view that Deku was fragile from earlier had been destroyed after watching him handle two people at once. Okay, next group get ready, said All Might. Back with Deku. He had been healed and was now walking back to class with Uraraka and Ida. Hey Ida, I'm sorry if I hit you too hard, said Deku. No, it's okay. You're very impressive. Where did you learn to fight like that? Said Ida. From my teacher, Goku. He's incredible. Goku? What a weird name. Wait, do you mean the Goku from the entrance exam? The guy who caught you? Said Uraraka. Yeah, that's the guy who's been training me, said Deku. You're awesome today. Sorry I wasn't much help, said Uraraka glumly. What you on about? We would have lost if it wasn't for you. Yeah, but I couldn't fight with you, said Uraraka. Hey, don't feel bad. I wasn't able to keep up with Deku either. I was only able to get surprise attacks off, said Ida. Ida rubbed his head where Deku had slammed it into the ground. The trio talked all the way back to class, getting to know each other more in depth. They arrived back in class just before Todoroki's fight. They watched as he effortlessly defeated his classmates. Both Deku and Bakugo's jaws dropped at the sight. It was insane. Even if both of them teamed up, they might not win. After around 50 minutes, all of the battles had concluded. Great work, everybody. You all did great. I have a few notes for you all. What do you think could have been improved with the first fight? Said All Might. Yaoyorozu raised her hand. Improving teamwork is a must, and the heroes need to work on finishing an enemy quickly. You had Ida alone and on the back foot, but you let your guard down, which led to you barely winning. Yes, exactly, said All Might. All Might went through the rest of the battles, and Yaoyorozu gave advice for each one. It was now time for the kids to go home. When Deku got home, he told his mum about everything that had happened that day. Wow, that's awesome, honey. I'm really glad you had such a great day. You should go wash up, because dinner's almost ready. Okay, thanks, Mum, said Deku. Deku walked away, but his phone began vibrating in his pocket. He pulled it out to see that All Might was calling him. Hey kid, can we meet at the beach? Said All Might over the phone. My mum was just about to serve dinner, said Deku. Should I come to you? I'll check, said Deku. Mum, is there enough food for 3? Said Deku. Oh, is Goku come around? Good thing I made extra, said Inko down the hallway. Yep, it's fine, said Deku to All Might. The call ended and Deku washed his hands. He walked back into the main corridor where he heard a slight thump from outside. Deku smiled. He knew what that was. All Might just landed. There was a light knock on the door. Oh, is that Goku? Said Inko. Not exactly. Then who is it? Said Inko, confused. Deku opened the door to show the massive frame of All Might completely filling the frame. He was wearing a nice suit. Inko's heart stopped. All Might was in her house. All Might? All Might? It's a pleasure to finally meet you, ma'am. All Might bowed to Inko, then shook her hand. His massive hand completely dwarfed hers. Inko was still shocked. Ma'am, you okay? Said Deku. All Might is in my house. All Might is in my house. All Might laughed softly. I want to talk to you about young Midoriya and his incredible performance today. Inko finally snapped out of it. Ah, yes, have a seat. We'll talk about it over dinner. Dinner went smoothly. All Might went over the battle in even greater detail than Deku did earlier, not sparing any detail and flooding Deku with praise. He was so proud. He'd grown so much so fast. All Might, I know he's your student, but I don't understand why you were here. Don't get me wrong, it's not like you aren't welcome, but normally a teacher would just send an email. I understand your confusion, ma'am. Let me explain. All Might stood up and put his hand on Deku's shoulder. Young Midoriya isn't just my pupil, he is my disciple, and I believe he is the right person to succeed me. He is my choice for the next symbol of peace. End of chapter 7.